I wanted to share something with you today, something that is about a lab in Marseille. That's the city where I come from, and it is the biggest lab in Europe for infectious diseases. It's called Institut Hospitalier Universitaire, IHU, as you see here, IHU Mediterranean Infection. And we're going to see, just for a start, to show you a little bit what this place is about. So let's start the play. This is the city, the hospital in the city. It's a very big city. It's a port. It has a long history of medicine and a long history of germs, because it's a port and all the boats used to come and all the ships used to come with a lot of germs. This building has everything in it. This is Professor Raoul, and I want you to watch him. I'm going to stop the video right here. This professor is the professor who spent 30 years studying virology, traveled all over the world, and he is the boss. He is the boss of this huge lab in France. And it has the lab has the capacity for depisting and treatment of all the contagious disease, the most contagious one to the most benign one, and they can do everything in there. So let's see. They start from a diagnostic, curing, and then sequencing, preserving the molecules. They invested 25 million euro in all this kind of very sophisticated technology and machinery that they need. They have the best equipment in the world in microscopy, genetic, protein, cultures, and they are truly unique. They have the biggest laboratory in Europe for culture of dangerous microbes, and then they have an enormous lab for diagnostic, which is amazing. And next to that, they received about 1 million of samples a year, which means that they're analyzing over 1 million samples. They this Institut Hospitalier Universitaire publishes over 700 publications internationally a year. So I want you to note that they publish their findings because all the students and all the people that do their masters and PhD, of course, are going to be publishing under the name of the IHU, and they have the biggest amount of publication in the domain of microbiology and infectious disease in France. So now this is Professor Fournier, which I'm also going to show you in maybe a following video. He is also one of the principal leaders in that lab. They built that building. This is a very new building. It's a very high security building because, as you can imagine, you don't want people being able to come in and out. So they have 24/7 video surveillance, and have people that are they have direct connection with the police forces. So they have all kinds of way of figuring out in their labs. Here you see red fish, green fish, and on the floor, if you follow the fish on the floor, then you know if you can get in, if you can't get in, and each department has their own security and way of dressing and all kinds of codes.
l'IHU détenant une collection unique d'échantillons biologiques.
So they have a unique collection of biological samples that have in their freezers. They keep them in the freezers, and there is also a very specific way of keeping all of this, like in a bank, but it's very secure and not it's completely secured.
Avec l'ensemble des techniques de sérologie, de biologie moléculaire et de culture, ainsi que les caractérisations par Malditoff, de diagnostiquer l'ensemble des bactéries, des virus, des champignons.
So they have a whole series of way of diagnostic for bacteria, viruses, fungi, microscopic parasite. That's basically all what they do in that lab. So the reason why I'm showing this to you right now is because I want you to feel very confident that when these people are going to tell you something, they know what they're talking about. They have new tools to identify things. They make things. They figure out. Okay, so this is a special floor in the IHU, and it's a special lab. This lab only is about 1,600 square meters, so you'd say about 16,000 square feet or something like that. And the security is very impressive because you cannot allow anything to escape from this lab. They also have a special way of keeping the air flow in the lab. It's extremely important. They have to know how to manipulate all these things so that everything stays where it is. So now about treating patients, they have 75 beds where they can treat patients that are contagious. And I want you to hear that, because 75 beds for just infectious disease is a lot. And this is what they used if they needed it during this virus crisis. They have special corridors that avoid. They have a special corridors that are specifically designed so that the visitors and the people that are sick are not in contact. So the whole point is to separate the sick people from the people that are not infected. Something very interesting that I just learned myself watching this video is that every year in France, 800,000 patients are infected. I just want you to remember this number, okay? Because when we talk about the coronavirus, how many cases and how many people have been tested positive, this is just for France. Every year in France, 800,000 patients are infected in the hospital, and about 10,000 of them die. So because of course not everybody is in that city and not everybody goes to that specific place, so all over France you have about 10,000 people every year that do die from infectious disease. All right, so you have to think, like, transpose this number. This is a big number, and it happens not with this virus, it happens every year.
Des mains des professionnels de santé et la mauvaise utilisation des cathéters sont en grande partie responsables de cette épidémie des temps modernes.
So what he's saying, that in a very big part of the reason why people die is because the contagious diseases are being shared, because the doctors or the people in the hospital are not careful enough about being clean, what I'm saying, being aseptic and cleaning their hands and making sure that the epidemic doesn't get contagious. So not only there is a problem with infectious disease, but there is a problem in the way that is being treated, because obviously even in the old hospitals or hospitals that are not following their guideline, there is things that are happening in the hospital themselves. So if it's happening in the hospital, I just want you to make a mental note. If it's happening in the hospital, how about in a nursing home? You understand that this is multiplied if it's happening in a nursing home.
Pour lutter contre ce fléau, nous avons mis en place des outils de mesure de la désinfection des mains comme Medientrace qui sont développés maintenant.
Okay, so this IHU, this institute, has now about 7 startups. And what they're doing with their startups is that they're asking these companies to develop the things that would be needed or would be beneficial for the hospital or for the labs. And one of the things that they developed is, for example, a machine that, you know, gives out the cleaning agent for the hands. Now they have also 25 beds for people that are highly contagious, like Ebola. And these people that are highly contagious are being treated. They also have children, and they have a series of pediatricians, radiologists. They have a whole team taking care of these people, and they can do all the tests and all the echogram and all the scanning and everything while the patient is in bed.
En charge les enfants et les adultes, y compris ceux qui ont besoin de réanimation, avec nos collègues pédiatres et réanimateurs.
And they also have this whole place where they have all this the reanimation and machinery, everything that they need. They have a small laboratory that has the most modern equipment just for this unit. And they also can transport people, as you see, in a very, very secure way. And they avoid any contagions with other people. This is a little bit an overview of what it is with Marseille. It's a port. People come from all over Africa and Middle East, go to pilgrimage to Mecca and other places, and they come back with stuff. So this institute follows 200 patients also that are infected by HIV and really takes care of them. They have a way of figuring out the results from the test in 30 minutes, which is really, really great. And I want you to remember that, because when people came to this institute and they needed to be diagnosed to see if they had coronavirus or not, they were able to have a complete, serious, reliable result within 3 hours. While they were taking the information on the patients, while they were doing the x-rays, while they were asking patients questions. During all this time, the lab sample was being treated, and they were getting a result within 3 hours. Not 2 days, 3 hours. Here for HIV, it's a half hour. I also want you to see that there's a very large amount of people that come from all over the world. 1,000 people that do their research, they do their masters, they do their PhD. 70% of these students come from the south.
L'IHU a développé 36 brevets et a permis la création de 7 startups dans le domaine du diagnostic.
So I'm going to skip the rest of that, but I just want you to see this Professor Raoul, who is introducing this lab. He's at the head of it, and he's been doing that for 30 years. He has the highest qualification as a virologist, microbiologist, and infectious disease specialist. And this is my introduction, because in the next videos what I'm going to show you is what they came up with and the timeline. My videos were taken off Facebook, and so now I'm going to have to redo better ones. So I hope this one will stay. But I wanted you to have a feel for what this place is like. And they have their own YouTube channel, which is if you look in YouTube channel, IHU, as you see over here, IHU Institut Hospitalier Universitaire. And if you see that, you can have all the data. Most of it is in French, a few of them are in English, but most of it is in French. And the reason why I'm doing this is for you to be aware of what's going on, and for you to see that even though the videos are in French, but I want you to see that the papers that they release are in English. Okay, so any medical study that they do, they produce it on an international level, and it's going to be in English.